Welcome into episode 106 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey. Welcome into the big show. We appreciate everyone being here on this Tuesday afternoon.
As I'm spewing my Kiwi blend straight all over.
Did you get it on your laptop?
Yeah, and your desk.
Damn it, Tyler. You know how clean I keep it up here.
But let me tell you something. That Kiwi blend.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth. I think it's this or the peach is my favorite. So refreshing. Get you a little afternoon boost.
Yeah. It's part of the Rain Total Body Fuel family, Rain Storm. Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
And I see our Cooper Chevrolet chat is already hot today. We got a resident Auburn fan in the house, so I'd like to give a big shout out in the Cooper Chevrolet chat to our good friend William Taylor. Welcome all. And speaking of Cooper Chevrolet, Neal, I don't know if you know this, but during September, you can get 3.9% financing.
That's pretty good these days.
For 72 months.
Hey, that's pretty good. These, I don't know if you pay attention to like the Wall Street Journal and interest rates and such.
Dude.
Hey.
I got something better for you. They sent this to me today. You ready for this? During September, you can get 3.9% financing for 72 months on the new Chevy Silverado Crew Cab. And check this out. No payments for 90 days as well.
So that gets you through the holidays.
To get you through the holidays. At Cooper Chevrolet in Anniston, go to cooperchevrolet.com for details.
There you go. 3.9%, no payment for 90 days.
And make sure when you go and get your great deal on a Cooper Chevrolet vehicle that you tell them that McCready and Siskey sent you.
Absolutely.
They will take much better care of you. They're big fans. They listen all the time, by the way. Big fans. They're probably tuned in right now. Greg's probably giving me a fist pump right now.
Yeah.
And Bob. Miss Bob. So, it's my guy. So, we're doing good, man.
Okay.
How was your wonderful, wonderful morning?
I've had a busy morning, but it was fine. It was a busy morning, but Tuesdays are busy days. Football, media stuff. We talk to players about stuff.
Doing football stuff?
Doing football stuff, in my other job, my day job.
Your day job? My day job's been a little busy too.
At Quick U?
Yeah. Everybody in America wants a cut up after 3 and 4 weeks. So, because you get the new senior film in.
Yeah.
So we're slicing and dicing in there. Clay and Clay usually listens every once in a while. Connor listens all the time. They're probably not listening right now because they're slicing and dicing. Checking out the new film is in on the new guys. So getting all those guys cut up for all of our clients. So, all right, Neal, let's start this bad boy off. We left it off yesterday, kind of teasing why we thought the SEC was down.
And I do think it is down.
I agree with you. I think there's several factors. Let's start with this. The most popular conspiracy theory out there, since we're in conspiracy theory season, is the transfer portal, how it's affecting depth and things like that. What's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I haven't given that part of it enough thought. Like I do think this. I do think continuity in sports matters. You see that all the time. I wrote about this the other day. This it's college sports or professional sports. I'm like, except they're not. I'm going down that road again. But in pro sports, typically you see growth with continuity. And at a lot of SEC schools, they are so portal dependent that, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I get it, right? You're getting paid $7, $8, $9, $10 million. You don't have 3 years to develop and implement a program. Look at Florida, right? I'm not saying anything's going to happen to Billy, but we're not even a year and a half into his tenure, and people are going, "This isn't working. Change it."
Right.
Eli Drinkwitz is in year 4 at Missouri. And there are people going, "This clearly doesn't work." You got a really good recruiting class coming in. And people going, "This just doesn't work." I'm not saying anything's going to happen to Eli or that anything should happen to Eli. But you get, I'm going somewhere with this. Sam Pittman in year 4 at Arkansas. Some of the same, just not nearly as loud, but little rumblings like, God, man, I mean, is this what we are? Right? And so there's pressure on the coaches to go, hey, we don't have time for development.
This is true.
Okay? That the part of coaching that a lot of you guys in coaching love, the development part, the getting a kid a piece of clay and molding the clay and boy, you look up and he's a redshirt sophomore and all of a sudden the lights come on.
You just don't have time anymore.
Right?
Hand raised guy, been there.
But that was fun.
That's what I'm talking to you
I've
guys.
talked to coaches who'll tell you that's the most rewarding thing, right? And then by the time that kid's a junior, a senior, and all of a sudden he's a huge part of your program and he's a big part of your culture. And he's the guy that's a host on official visits, and he's the one that you use to go, hey, Johnny over there, man, when he was your age, he was a mess. And look at him today. Well, you don't have time for that anymore. So what you do is you go into the portal, and the portal is kind of, to me, there are exceptions, but I think we're finding that the portal in a lot of cases is flawed. Right, you're getting guys out of the portal that are in the portal for a reason. We used to say this about JUCO. Hey, kid's in JUCO for a reason. Either he's not smart enough to spell his name, or he wasn't that good. He was a super late bloomer, or man, he was an absolute train wreck of a character risk.
Correct.
Okay, those were the things that you said about. Well, now with the portal, it's like, well, why is he in the portal?
It's the new JUCO, right?
In a way, it's a much better JUCO.
Correct.
You can build, but you bring in a bunch of guys.
Same thought process.
You don't develop the culture. You don't develop the chemistry. There is no continuity. There is none of that stuff. And I don't know. I think you get this. You sort of get a early in the season at least. You get a vehicle that's skipping a gear, and it shows. They're just and teams don't have as much depth. Guys who aren't playing don't go, hey, you know what? I'm going to double down in the weight room. I'm going to really learn this offense. I'm going to show Coach Siskey that I deserve to be on the field. I'm going to work my ass off. Now they just go, you know what? It didn't work. I'm going to get in the portal. I'm going to transfer to X, and I'm going to go play there. And maybe they do. Maybe they don't, right? But there's a lot of that kind of thing. And then I just think the products look differently. Like we look around. I did this thing. I think I told you this yesterday. I rank the SEC 1 through 14 every week on my 10 weekend thoughts at rebelgrove.com. And this week, when I went to do it, and I always do try to do it right because people are going to hold it against you and whatever.
No.
People are weird about stuff. And
No.
I was super honest. I was like, okay, 1, Georgia. They've won 2 championships in a row.
Nobody's going to argue with
They get the benefit of the doubt. And defensively, they look special. All right, okay, 1, Georgia. And then, dude, I stopped. And I looked at it and I went, oh, who's 2? And I settled on Alabama, but it was more like, okay, well, it is Nick Saban. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But I just got through watching them get rolled in the fourth quarter by Texas at home. And then it was like, okay, well, who's 3? And I was like, probably LSU. And then he's like, who's 4? Who's 5? And after I wrote, this is an impossible exercise. Like, how today can you differentiate Kentucky from Arkansas, Arkansas from Ole Miss from Texas A&M? I mean, you might have some feelings about it, but how can you really differentiate? Right. I don't know that it's been that way in recent years. There's at least been a little bit of a hodgepodge, but never like this where you're like, okay, I feel pretty confident that Vanderbilt's 14th and that Missouri's probably 13th or 12th and Florida's probably 12th or 13th today. And then everybody else, like, what, like South Carolina, what are they? I mean, I thought they'd be better than this. There's a lot of stuff when you try to break it down and go, who are these teams? And look, don't get me wrong. All this stuff's going to start getting sorted out here pretty soon.
Quickly.
But as of today, the league looks kind of flat. And frankly, if you made me guess today, I'd guess that today, and look, LSU could change this for me because LSU could go win 3, 4, 5 games in a row, looking pretty impressive doing it against league teams. And Florida State looks like world beaters over there. And you're like, you know what? Maybe they just happen to catch the best team in the country or one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country on opening night. Maybe they'll get a rematch, right? But barring that, I look at it and go, the only hope this league has of a playoff bid is Georgia.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I got 3 different reasons here, and 2 of them are portal related. I guess one's kind of portal / NIL related. If you want to look at why the SEC is down, and this is my opinion, which will buy you a cup of coffee the next time you drive through either Oxford, Mississippi, or now even in Anniston, Alabama, they will give you a cup of coffee if you present this opinion. Let's look at the other side of the portal theory, right? So the days of being able to hoard talent, okay? So I'm in Alabama, and we're out there. We go out there first year, and, we got Derrick Henry sitting on the bench. We got Marlon Humphrey, red-shirting, doesn't even play. You got Reuben Foster on – you're talking about first-round picks that don't play. You know what I mean? And they waited their time and then went to play. There's too many – with NIL the way it is right now, I call this like the Bear Alexander deal. Bear Alexander didn't play a whole lot at Georgia. He played, but he wasn't like a superstar at Georgia. Well, everybody knew, he's going to be the next guy up. Well, you can go find value at schools that are willing to pay you. And being able to stay at those places and those schools, and who has acquired the most talent out of high school? What league?
The SEC.
The SEC, and they've been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, these guys are leaving and going other places. Miles Battle, was a very good corner in this league. Above average, good player. He's long. Whether you like him or you're not, he's going to play on Sundays.
Agreed.
All right. But he was just a guy here, right? He goes to Utah. He leaves and goes to another league. You got the Bear Alexander. You got all these guys that are hoarded up in this league that leave and go other places. All right. So that's the one part is you're losing your depth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Because here's the reverse part of the transfer portal theory. I'm losing guys like Bear Alexander. I'm not saying Georgia because they don't do it very often, but you're losing the Miles Battle. You're losing these players that have been in your system, understand your culture, are good players. They leave. Well, what do you have to do? You just lost a player that gave you significant snaps. For whatever reason, every school in this conference has lost a guy that gave them significant snaps. Well, you have to go replace somebody that can play. Well, what do? You go to, Kent State or wherever, and you go and you bring up this group of 5 guy to come in and be your depth because your depth just left to go somewhere because he wasn't playing. Well, look, maybe he's ready to play and can play some snaps, but he doesn't have the upside and the ceiling that the guy that just left. And so your depth gets affected. And if you look at the SEC, the mode of victory in the SEC has been for years depth, because players number 40 through 60 are so much better than player number 40 through 60 in other conferences. The depth is what has won in this league for a long time. Well, now you're talented, high ceiling depth. They're not playing right away, so they're bolting for a check, and they're going other places, and you're having to supplement that with guys that don't have as high of a ceiling. Does that make sense?
Of course.
So that's the first part of it. That's theory 1. Theory 2 is NIL. You have to, for the most part, I'm sure there are exceptions out there, people that are really throwing the money around, but not really. You have a choice. You can either pay your roster or pay the recruits. But there's not enough money. You're paying to keep these superstars around, and you're taking huge chunks of your NIL bank and pie.
Pay for play bank.
For your PFP bank.
Just call it your salary.
All right.
You've got your payroll.
You got your payroll.
And you're having to decide how you allocate payroll.
And you can't go and get, even if you could in the past, when you go, like I always used to say this, recruiting in Alabama was cheating. It really was. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was a draft. You pretty much got who you wanted. And that's when I was there. That was, 13 and 14 or 14 and 15, somewhere in there. All right. So 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Well, now you can't go get all those 25 guys because you're going to have to pay those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then I got to pay my own team to keep, because you inherited a roster situation where you had 85 players that were not getting paid. Well, now you can't just start. So you have to take care of those 85 plus the 25 that you're bringing in or whatever your number you're bringing in now.
Right.
You just don't have the money to go around. And then there's always going to be somebody that's going to pay more. Like, even if you said, hey, we're going to pay everybody $100,000, we're going to do the, like kind of what Oklahoma does, which I like. That's the best situation. I like it. It keeps the locker room better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're the left tackle and you're getting paid, call it $100,000 this year, and everybody gets paid the same, and then all of a sudden, Florida State offers you $350,000, what are you going to do? You're going to leave.
Well, and the other thing that's happening, and it's absolutely happening, I bet you know where I'm about to go.
Yep.
Decisions are getting made all the time. Coaches look at a kid 2-3 games in and go, you know what? He's not the player we thought he was. And they start getting into the tampering portal.
Yep.
And they're searching for guys at the group of 5 level or at some schools that are underachieving or whatever. And those kids go, okay, well, now they're not even as dialed in as they used to be because they are already, they know, especially if you still have your transfer in your hand, your value is in the market. And you put up a little bit of game film, and all of a sudden there's a reason why the day the portal opens, guys commit to school X. Well, it's because it's been done.
They're in and out of the portal in 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're in and out of the portal. It's done. There's just the hey, look, it's just changed. I'm not sure the change is for the better. That's for someone else to argue right now. I'm not. It's no point. I've expressed my thoughts.
You're beating a dead horse.
But it is where it is, and so I just think it's different. I think coaches are having to adapt. It's the one reason that every fiber in my being goes, hey, Alabama's going to be fine. Okay? It's Nick Saban. He's the GOAT. He's going to figure it out. They're going to rally the troops. They're going to get it rolling, and they're going to be a rolling ball, as Tommy Tuberville used to say, a rolling ball of butcher knives by the end of the year.
Senator.
Except there's the part of me that goes, except for the possibility that this new system makes it where that's not really possible. And that's possible too. And so that's why someone today asked me, hey, gut feeling, gun to your head, who would you pick to win the West? And I went,
I don't want to play.
I was like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I was like, that's what I said. I was like, I don't want to.
I don't want to play that game.
I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, gun to my head. I mean, I had to get it right. The football gods come down and go, we know the winner of the SEC West. You get to guess it. If you get it right, you carry on. If you don't, well.
I think I could do 3 teams.
Well, that's a cop out.
Yeah, but that's how I feel, though. You know what I mean? Like couldn't get any closer than that.
Right. So you go. Well, I mean, I guess I'd still probably go LSU. Probably, maybe. And then I'd say, well, but maybe it's Alabama. But here's the thing: for the first time, I'd go. But I can make a case for everybody except maybe Auburn. I don't think Auburn, no offense to Auburn, it's year 1, Hugh Freeze, rebuild, the whole deal. Yeah. This isn't a criticism. I don't know that I can make a case for Auburn getting there. I don't really think I can make a case for Mississippi State getting there. And I don't really think I could make a case for Arkansas getting there, although they're a little better on defense than people thought they'd be. And if they get Sanders back, they do have a veteran quarterback, and you never know. But I think I could make a case for Ole Miss because they have good quarterback play.
You got a quarterback, you got a chance.
But there's so many other question marks with Ole Miss that I don't feel good about it. And then I just got through watching A&M against Miami, and look, for as much as A&M's offense answered some questions, all of the questions that got pulled out of the question jar
went the other side, went across the hall.
We put new ones in, and the new ones are about the defense, right? So I think I'd still go Alabama or LSU, but both of them have been flawed. Now it's possible that Alabama and LSU both have lost to teams that are playoff bound, and it was just a scheduling thing, and that's why we're doing this. But I'm not sure.
All right, the last thing I want to say about this, I thought I would never have to say this. I thought these words coming out of my own mouth shocked me. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's in the business, who I played with. We had about a 30-minute conversation today. We were talking about stuff, and he's right. These kids aren't playing hard, man. There's about Like I can name some teams. Like if you watch Oregon State play football,
Yeah.
those guys play hard. They do. On both sides of the ball, they play hard. If you watch, like I watched the Arizona-Mississippi State game the other night. Arizona's defense, dude, they're not overly talented, but they try to knock your ass out every play. They play so hard, so much above what their talent level is. There are not many teams, and there's not many in this league. Matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen any team in this league that I went, man, those guys are playing hard. You got to strain. Like I always would tell my guys, and it's a joke, I really didn't mean this, but I'd be like, I want you cramping after 30 snaps. I want you playing that hard that after 30 snaps you're cramping. Obviously, I was being a little hyperbolic, but
Right, sure.
they get the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids aren't playing hard. The game is not being played hard. You see people loaf damn near every play. In the Alabama-Texas game the other night, it's supposed to be the two dudes of dudes, there were people loafing on both sides of the ball.
What do you attribute that to?
I think the coaches are scared shitless to coach these kids hard because they're going to go in the portal.
Oh, yeah.
That's what my last point is. I think coaches are too worried that if they get on a kid and if they ride them, they're going to get in the portal. I think that's what is contributing to some of this. And some of these kids, I know Greg McElroy said it this morning, and he's right. He's like, hey, they're getting paid too. You know, they're getting theirs. Mm-hmm. And I think NIL in a combination with them not being able to coach kids hard and hold them accountable. Because here's what happened, right? If your ass didn't play hard, you know what happened to you? Your ass went and sat. And I'll find somebody that wants to play hard. The only thing you can take away from kids to really get them to respond
playing time.
Is playing time. That's what they're, well, we can call it what we want to call it. That's what you take away from them. If you really want to sting, if you want to hold a kid accountable, you take away their playing time. Well, in the world that we're in today, if you take away their playing time, they're going to hit the easy button and shoot the deuce.
A lot of them, yeah.
Okay, and
yeah,
so
sure.
Coaches, which you and I have talked about this ad nauseum on this show, 106 episodes in. Coaches are now turning into being their friend and their buddy and not their coach because they are scared shitless that they're going to leave. And look, I have, when you're put in a position, I've had this happen one time. When you're put in a position to have to play somebody when they really, they need to be sitting on the bench, it creates an entire, the benefit of them going in the game. Maybe they're a cancer. Maybe it
emasculates you as a coach.
And it kills the chemistry in your room.
Well, the power dynamic changes.
And you can't hold the young ones accountable.
The power dynamic changes.
Correct.
And the young guys see that, hey, you can get away with this. And so they go, okay. As opposed to in the old days, right? I mean, I'm sounding like an old man, but it wasn't that long ago where, hey, man, this is just the way you have to do it here. Like I used to always hear this about Alabama. You bought into the process. You signed up, you bought in, you followed the process, you followed the program, and the program produced two things: wins and NFL players.
Hey, I won't go to the.
But now maybe the process has changed.
Yeah.
Maybe now, like the other day, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. You've been inside that building. I don't want to pick on the kid. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is. Because look, once the game's over, the game's over. You can't go change the outcome of the game. Once it's done, it's done.
No time machine.
I think he was a tight end. He caught a touchdown pass in the game for Alabama. They lost to Texas. Wasn't that long after the game. I think he's on Instagram Live. Maybe he was on something. I don't know. Whatever. Some sort of social. And he's kind of dancing and talking about his followers and all that stuff. Hey, look at how many people are in here and all that stuff. And people in the thread are going, you just lost, man. You just lost. And he's like laughing about it.
That's the problem, right?
So I'm curious, what's the reaction to that inside the coach's room at Alabama? It can't be, hey, this is awesome.
Oh, well, no, it's not awesome. I mean, that's the shit that can't go on. Okay? That tells me everything. And I did not see that. That's the first time I've heard that. All right? That tells me that he doesn't give a shit, which goes back to the point. They're getting theirs. They're good. It's all about me, 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 me. And I've said this on the show, and it pisses me off, man. Once you've worked there, and look, I love Coach Saban. I do. He has meant the world to me. What he's done for my career and what I learned from him, I can't stand that this is going on while he's the coach. I can't. It bothers me because he doesn't deserve it. That's not the program that he runs. And everybody that's ever worked there, and everybody I've seen former players speak up this week. There's a standard at that fucking place, man. There's a standard. It's different, okay? And I'm sorry if you're a fan of another school, okay? I didn't work there, but if anywhere I've ever worked, there is a standard.
Well, you don't win like they've done for the last, what's it been, 16 years? You don't win like that without there being a standard.
And it's a disgrace.
But my point is, and what I'm asking you is, in your opinion, you know what the reaction to that would have been in the older days. Here we are in this modern era where you got to be careful. Right? You rail somebody for what they did. They can jump in the portal and bolt. Is that standard in this era, is that standard maintainable?
I don't think so.
I'm asking.
I don't think so. I don't. But the thing that pisses I did not even hear about that. I'm today years old when I heard about that.
Okay.
But that pisses me off that occurred because look, I put everybody that's ever worked there, you put your life to maintain that standard.
Mm-hmm.
And people leave and go. Lane Kiffin was there he put his life in it to maintain that standard.
Yeah.
When you go there, your job is to keep the fucking trains on the track. And to have that shit go on, that pisses me off. It really does.
I know.
Now, when Nick leaves, that's on somebody else.
I was genuinely curious about what you thought.
That pisses me off really bad. That you don't care enough about you're part of that. You gotta stand up and do what's right. And that's bullshit. That legitly pisses me off.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I saw it and I thought, on one hand, well, the game's over. What do you do? And on the other hand, I went, you just got beat in Tuscaloosa. That was only the second time since Nick Saban joined the SEC. Trivia question. Since Nick Saban joined the SEC, he's lost by double digits at home twice. Saturday night to Texas. Can you guess the other one?
Double digits at home?
Double digits at home.
Are you going to say Monroe?
No. That was single digits.
Was it LSU in 19?
No. It was LSU, but it was not 19.
I don't know. What year?
He was the head coach at LSU in 2003.
Oh, no, I was thinking Alabama.
No, Nick Saban since he joined the SEC.
I didn't know that.
Lost to Florida at home in 2000. I covered it. Chris Leak had a day. It was the day that Aramis Ramirez hit a grand slam to put the Cubs a win away from the World Series in 2003. They did not get there for another 13 years. It's been that long since Alabama or Nick Saban as an SEC head coach lost by double digits at home. At home. How about that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so that happens, and your reaction inside the building is, at least with one person, is, oh, well, hey, I got mine. Look at my followers. That's the difference. And I think it's a cultural thing that makes it harder to maintain. I'm not saying, look, I will never be the guy that counts Nick Saban out. Nope, not doing it. But it's harder. It's going to be harder for him to put the train back on the tracks than it's been in the past. And that makes it where I go, I don't know. I covered Ole Miss with my day job. And last year, the moment they hit adversity, off the tracks. And people do hey, it was the Lane Kiffin to Auburn thing. You know what? I've talked to a lot of players who tell me that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Nope. It was they hit adversity and guys just kind of went, hey, I got to think about what's best for me. I'm worried about me.
Yeah.
They weren't worried about team anymore. Once they lost to Alabama and they weren't going to the playoff, they weren't going to the championship game, smoked in Fayetteville. Defeated by a Mississippi State team that was not as good as them, and then just really got kind of pounded in the Texas Bowl by Texas Tech. Okay, those are results. I think to pin all of that on, well, Lane Kiffin was distracted because it was Auburn. Come on, stop. It was player related. He couldn't, and this isn't a knock on Lane any more than it's a knock on Nick Saban. He couldn't get those guys back.
No, I mean. And I'm going to go to the Cooper Chevrolet chat here, but GJG23 brought up a minute ago. He says, this doesn't look like a problem at Colorado. Well, let me explain something. He also brought in 80-something new kids. When we see what's going on in North Carolina right now, when you bring in a kid and he can't go anywhere else,
Yeah.
you can coach those guys hard. But the dynamic I would struggle with, just to be honest with you, my coaching style is I treated every single one the same, right? I think you could probably still coach the kids that have already transferred to you harder because they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But then you would have to turn around and put kid gloves around the.
But a lot of them are only there for the money. See,
right?
They're only there. They came because you were the highest bidder. They came to you because you were you were the highest bidder in free agency. They didn't grow up in your minor league system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at the Braves. You're a big Braves fan.
I am.
How many homegrown talents are on that team? Guys who've known each other for a long time. And before that, when they won, Dansby Swanson, Freddie Freeman, those guys, those were Braves.
Yeah.
Those were guys who basically, I mean, Swanson, I know, was drafted by the Diamondbacks, but he was traded to the Braves system very quickly. You've got Swanson, Freeman, those guys. That's all. Look where they've gone. Freddie Freeman's a huge part of what's happening in Los Angeles. Dansby Swanson's a huge part of what's happening in Chicago, right? But they went to those places and they've instituted that same thing. The Braves, all their success is built around a culture that's been built inside the franchise.
Yeah.
You don't get to build that culture now.
No, you don't.
You have it. They have it, Georgia.
And that's the thing. But, maybe they just let Bear go, basically. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're paying you whatever. I know what it was, but they were paying him a very good amount of money. He got more to go the other place. It's not like the kid was broke. You know what I mean? Like, but you're right. He got Freddie Freeman. I mean, he just went for the more money.
Yeah.
If he had the right agent, Freddie Freeman would still be a Brave. But Olson's doing pretty good this year.
And Georgia felt like they had better players behind him, or just as good a player behind him. They thought they could plug and play without it disrupting their culture. And here's the other thing in NIL that you see is when a kid's getting a lot of money and everybody in the clubhouse, in the locker room knows it, and things don't go well, and everybody gets on social media, gets in their feels. That stuff infiltrates locker rooms.
No doubt. All right, Neal.
We spent a lot more time on that than we intended to.
Well, that's usually what happens.
It's a good topic.
It's what usually happens when you and I get going on something.
Hey, I'll finish with this. It's why I'm really curious with a bunch of teams. Boy, it's easy when you're 2-0, 3-0 to go, hey, we really got a good culture. I get it. You probably feel like you do. I'm not. It's not a criticism. What happens when you lose 1, 2? What happens when some of these teams lose 2 and suddenly it's like, hey, you're not going to the playoff, right? You're not going to the SEC championship game, right? Not going to happen. The path isn't open for you anymore. What is it? What's the culture like then?
Yeah.
It's why, man, when you're trying to do the W's and the L's down the road, beyond, I can't predict injuries. I can't predict what culture is going to be like.
That's true.
Who knows?
And as we wrap this up, and I was caught off guard because I was legitly that pissed me off. I want to clear up what I meant so it doesn't get taken out of context.
Okay.
When I gave up a lot, just like every other coach and player that's ever been in that organization at Alabama. Okay. I didn't see my kids awake for 2 years. Okay. Gave up a lot. And I gave up a lot of my personal life and being a dad and all those things to maintain a standard. Okay. The standard has not changed. There's been some coaches that have changed. Okay. There's been players that have changed.
Sure.
But that standard hasn't changed. And so when you did your job to uphold that standard and you see other people not upholding their standard, they're part of the bargain, it pisses you off because you know how much you gave up to hold the standard and hold the train on the tracks.
Yeah.
And you see other people, in this case a player, not doing their part. That pisses me off because people, but way before me and way after me, okay, this is not just a me thing. This is a Lane Kiffin thing. This is a freaking Kirby Smart thing. This is a lot of people's thing that gave up a lot of their life to maintain a standard and to set a standard at a place. And you still, as weird as it sounds, okay, and it does. It sounds really weird, but you still feel a part of it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like, even though I'm not there, you're like, yeah, I understand what you're going through. I get it. Hey, I understand it.
Yeah.
And it pisses you off when somebody does something like that and that's so out of character. All right, let's move on.
I'm like that with the Rustin Bearcats to this day. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
I get it, dude. All right, I'm with you. All right, let's talk about this.
What was the name of your high school team?
The Falcons, the Donahoe Falcons.
Okay,
we were awesome. We were actually good when I was there. They're terrible now.
Because you're not there anymore.
No,
They're not.
had nothing to do with it.
They're not holding up to the same standard.
Didn't have anything to do with it. All right. Let's talk about the Week 3 SEC games and the very few national games of interest, or I should say the McCready and Siskey games of interest. Not a great week of the college slate. I told you earlier, I told my wife, I think I'm going to sneak over and watch the Georgia Tech game and Ole Miss game this weekend.
Okay.
If I can get out. Depends on how many baseball games my man Drew's got us signed up for this weekend. All right. Let's start with, I just got an order of time, I think. LSU is a 9.5-point favorite going to Mississippi State. We'll do spreads and stuff tomorrow.
I'll do this. I'll add something to this for you. I'll do of my interest. 1 being no interest at all. 10 being I wouldn't miss this for all the money in the world.
Okay.
I'm actually around an 8 here. I'm curious about LSU, and I'm curious about State. Because if you told me State was okay, I'd go okay, and if you told me State's bad, I'd buy it.
Here's the thing with this game for me, and this was where this game's going to be won and lost. Both of them have very similar issues on the back end. I think LSU's weakness is on the back end, as they were demonstrated very early by Florida State. I don't know if Mississippi State can push the ball downfield enough to challenge that.
Right.
They have a ton of wide receivers, like a carbon copy wide receivers. Everybody's the same guy. They don't have a different dude, like a big guy, small guy. They're just all the same guys. And Mississippi State, I think they're good at corner safety. They're young and inexperienced. Who can take advantage of that matchup the best? I think it's LSU. It's at State. That'll give them something, but that game's going to be decided in the secondary on both ends. But I would imagine LSU gets after them. I would pick them on that. Second game, Kansas State is a 5-point favorite, which blows my mind at Missouri. Go ahead.
I'd lay those points and then 10 more. I'm not this to me. This game is not going to be all that interesting unless you just like watching Missouri get demolished.
They're just so the same person I was talking to today, obviously in the business. He's probably said it best. You know, when there's teams, when you say inconsistent teams, he goes, sometimes a team plays a good half, a good quarter. They may play good on offense, bad on defense. That's inconsistency. He said, I can't get Missouri figured out because it's play to play. He goes, some plays they execute it really well. Then they may go 2 plays without knowing what's going on. I tend to agree. I think Kansas State blows the doors off of Missouri. Hot take probably will be on the old Siskey sheet come Thursday.
Well,
Make it rain.
It's going to be on mine.
Okay. All right. South Carolina at Georgia. This line has dropped 27.5.
It's dropping because people just don't know what to expect from Georgia's offense. But I got a funny feeling Georgia's about to make some offensive strides. Kirby's got that little look in his eye. Kirby looked kind of pissed off in his press conference, kind of perturbed.
That's my guy.
And I've noticed that when Kirby sort of looks pissed off and kind of acts pissed off,
he usually is pissed off.
Bad things are coming for the other team. I don't know that I'd want to be South Carolina on Saturday.
We got to get Kirby on the show. He would be legendary.
Oh, it's so funny.
Kirby without a filter is my guy.
I've had people who know me are like, he's the coach in the league that you'd like to have a beer with the most. And I'm like, really? And they're like, oh yeah, no
question. He's great.
Yeah.
He's the one that taught me all my sneaking around Tuscaloosa golfing tricks.
Gotcha.
I want to wait because I want to get him on. He's got one of the most legendary sneaking around playing golf stories of all time. Here's the deal with this game. I'll just put it like this. You know how I don't like big spreads? I don't like them.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, coach may call off the dogs. No pun intended. I don't think he calls off the dogs in this game. I may or may not know something on this one.
Oh.
He will try to score 1,000 points if he can score 1,000 points.
Oh. Okay. I told you there was I don't know anything, and I just looked at him the other day watching him talk.
This may be on just a little heads up. This may be on the old McCready Siskey sheet, and I may be laying the points.
Oh.
On Saturday on this one. And I love my South Carolina Gamecocks. They put us in the video. Appreciate you. It's not your fault. All right. Alabama, 32-point favorites at South Florida.
Only thing I'm interested in, I want to see what they do with the quarterback position.
I would be
because they've got conference games coming up after this. They've got one more week look, they're going to beat South Florida.
Yes.
Right. So they've got to figure this quarterback thing out a little bit because they're playing. I don't have their schedule in front of me. Let me pull it up because I'm curious here. I know they've got Ole Miss after this. You'd think I would memorize the schedule by now. Alabama football schedule. Here it is. It's Ole Miss at home, at Mississippi State, at Texas A&M, Arkansas at home, Tennessee at home, LSU at home. That's the next kind of 6 games for them. Of those games, if you ask me today, how many of those games are losable? Okay. Here's where I'm different than a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying they're going to lose the game. I got fired in Mobile for doing this. So listen, everybody, don't fire me. This is a great thing about being my own boss. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
In Mobile in 2000, was it 6 or 7?
7.
7. I said that the ULM game was losable on Monday.
I remember by the way.
That week.
I was like, why isn't Neal covering the Saints anymore?
Oh, actually, I did cover the
I'm
Saints.
talking about the St. Paul Saints.
Oh.
Where'd Neal go?
I was covering the New Orleans Saints from that point forward.
All right, I'm sorry.
On Monday of that week, I said that the ULM game was losable. By Wednesday, I was fired. After I did the show, by the way. They waited till after the show.
Let you get those last reads in.
Let me get the last reads in, and then they fired me over the phone. Cowards. Total cowards. What a coward move.
Can you go solo cam on this one? I want to see your.
They know.
Just call them out. Do you want the mask?
No. When you're going to fire somebody who's been working for you for 6 years, have the testicular fortitude to do it face to face. That's it.
Gotcha.
There's your life lesson.
Be
a man and do it face to face. Don't have your little peon programming director pick up the phone and call you at 6:05 to do it. There's a word for that.
What's it start with?
A P.
What's it end with?
A Y.
My man.
There's a word for that. That's bad. That's really, really bad. So, but hey, it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. God bless you. Thank you so much because I got away from your caustic thing and learned how to take care of myself. And I made so much more money than I ever would have made had I worked at your silly little radio station. Thank you.
I love you.
But here's the deal. They could. Do I think they'll
back to Alabama now?
Do I think they'll lose to Ole Miss? I don't. Do I think they could? I do. Okay.
All right.
Do I think they'd lose to Mississippi State? I don't, and I don't really think it's losable. Do I think they could lose at Texas A&M? I do. Because I think Texas A&M could outscore them today. Do I think they could lose to Arkansas? You want the truth? Kinda. Do I think they will? No. But is the game losable? Is there at least a 5 to 10% chance that Alabama lost that game? I think so.
Where is it?
It's in Tuscaloosa. But the last time they played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama scared the hell out of them, and that was with Bryce Young at quarterback.
Yeah.
Do I think they could lose to Tennessee? Probably not. But do I think it's losable? Yeah. Do I think they could lose to LSU? Absolutely. So they've got to get the quarterback thing fixed, Tyler, or else. Because here's the thing: if you're gonna roll down the road and play 5-6 losable games with shaky quarterback play, you're not running that gamut.
Right.
You're not. You're going to lose games.
I agree. All right, Neal. I know the game that you're waiting on. You ready to discuss? The fighting Neal McCreadys are going to College Station. The ULM Warhawks are going to College Station.
We're 2-0. We beat Army. We beat Lamar. Like just we crushed them.
My old coach, Terry Bowden, going to College Station. I don't think he never went to College Station because they weren't in the league back then. So making his inaugural trip to College Station.
My first year on the Auburn beat, Terry Bowden quits in the middle of October.
I was there. Henry's guy.
Hey, you talk about an indoctrination. And my sports editor goes, you really need to break this. Like the next coach. You really need to break this kind of or else. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm about to get fired in November, you know. That was pressure.
So let me tell you a funny story about that week. So I've never told you this. That week I got in trouble. I missed weights. Weights were I not on intentionally. My weight my weights group got moved from like 1 o'clock till 6 a.m. or something. I
Okay.
had no idea. So I missed weights, and we're stretching for practice. And this was on I want to say it was on like a Wednesday. I'm stretching for practice. And Coach Parker comes around, he taps me and goes, "You missed weights this morning?" I said, "No, sir. I went to the 1 o'clock group." "That's not your time. Be here in the morning at 5 o'clock. I was like, "You got to be shitting me. I went to weights. Nobody told me. There was no communication. They didn't want to hear that. I wasn't good enough for them to care. So 5 o'clock in the morning, this was on Thursday morning. It's like 45 degrees outside. And it's raining. It's like late October. Literally the day before all this happens.
Y'all getting ready to play Louisiana Tech.
Getting ready to play Louisiana Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like 8 of us out there. And they rolled us for over an hour. Coach Fuqua was the strength coach, and they rolled us. And they made us roll 100 yards. We had 1,000 yards to do. And for rolling, you lay down like you'd imagine. You lay down arms flat, and you roll over and over and over. You had to roll 100 yards. And if you did not get to the other end in 45 seconds, it did not count. Well, breaking news, you're not getting there in 45 seconds. We rolled for over an hour, okay? I was as sick as I've ever been. I mean, all of us were out there just puking our guts up. And you can't roll straight. You're rolling crooked. You're rolling all over the place.
Right.
Well, Bill Oliver was a defense coordinator.
I remember.
Okay? And their offices were up on the they didn't even have the lights on. His offices were on the 3rd floor, and we were on that very first practice field right there. And it was raining. They just had the lights coming off the building. They didn't have the practice lights on. And he comes out after about 20 minutes, and he yells down at the strength coach and says, "Hey, that's enough." And Fuqua goes, "Get back on the line." And here we go rolling, because Bill Oliver went back in. About another 10 minutes goes around. He goes, "Hey, I said that was enough." And when I mean, dude, it was bad, like legit bad. And back on the line, we go for an hour. He comes out and loses his mind on the strength coach. So they called it. Dude, I was so messed up. Like, when you're like drunk, and the room's spinning.
No, I've never been there.
All right. But you know what I'm talking about? That's, I was like that for about 6 hours. My equilibrium was messed up.
Oh, my God.
Fun fact, to this day, from that moment on, I could probably have sued him back then. I can't, like, if I get up real quick or anything like that, I immediately get dizzy.
Really?
Yeah. I can't get on roller coasters anymore or anything else because it messes up my equilibrium. From that day.
You should have sued. Come on. Let's sue him now.
Yeah. 7 years later. All right. And so that happens, right? Terry Bowden. So this Friday night, we're in Sewell Hall, and Terry Bowden comes in, and he says,
Friday afternoon.
It was after the movies, whatever. It's like 5 something.
Okay.
And it was dark.
I was already in Auburn by then.
It was dark.
I found out that afternoon and had to haul ass from Birmingham to Auburn.
It was late. It was dark. He comes in with all the players, dead silence. Comes in and says, if he's powerful enough to get rid of the governor of the state of Alabama, he's powerful enough to get rid of me. And turned around and walked out the door. And then Bill Oliver comes up. I'm probably going to get in so much trouble for saying this.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. All right. Bill Oliver comes in. He goes, "All right, first things first." We're thinking he's going to get some kind of great speech. He goes, "If you get in trouble, there ain't going to be none of this rolling bullshit. If you're that stupid enough to get in trouble, I'm up here in the mornings anyway. You can bring your books. You can come up here and study with me if you're going to get in trouble up here at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. There ain't going to be none of that rolling bullshit." Everybody's like, "Let's go win." He was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people.
He was awesome.
I loved Bill Oliver.
He's a stud.
I always was told, he's this bad guy, he's mean and all that stuff. And I was kind of always intimidated of him, as a young guy. And then kind of started talking to him, got to know him, and got to where I really, really liked him. Really liked him. He was always really good to me.
Well, that's why the players liked him so much. Is like, look, I was terrible. Okay, I was terrible. Maybe being the worst player wearing a uniform. Okay, freely admit, it's terrible. He treated me just like he treated the best player on the team. He treated every player with respect equally. He knew everybody's name, put his arm around you.
That's what he was like with me.
He's just a good dude.
There were guys on that beat that had been there forever, like they were established. And,
I really wish I know how things work now that I've been in the business, but I really wish he would have got the job. He's just a good dude, man.
He is a good dude.
Everybody, you can't find somebody that didn't like the guy. He's a stud. All right. There's no reason to talk about ULM.
So ULM beats A&M by 10?
No.
Okay.
I like A&M. I don't like the points, but I like A&M.
It is a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. I won't bet it, but I like it.
All right, this Tennessee-Florida game. We got to move on through this quickly because we're going way too slow today. Tennessee at Florida. It's a 6.5 point line. I mean, on an interest level, I'm only like about a 4. I'm not particularly interested. It's whatever. I don't think either team's all that good. I am curious to see whether Tennessee can start putting it together offensively, but I've got concerns about their quarterback. Florida, I know they're your guys, but they did not look good against Utah, and it was Utah. So this is a big test for them, right? If they're going to get it back on track, it starts Saturday.
This could be really big for Billy if they can win this game at home versus Tennessee. I told you the other day, hot take will be on McCready and Siskey. I'm looking at the under in this game. I think it's 56, 59. It's in the high 50s. I think both teams are going to struggle offensively. I do like both defenses in this game. It's in the swamp, man. I'm being biased for those that don't know. I really want Billy to pull this one out. I'm pulling for Billy to win this one.
All right. Sanford at Auburn is not particularly interesting at all.
Don't go to sleep. This one may be a little bit more interesting than Auburn fans want it to be. Sanford's a good team. Now they were like a semifinal team in the FCS last year.
Okay.
Auburn's coming off that long trip. Dude, what Auburn did, I'm trying to tell you, what Auburn put on film Saturday was terrible. Terrible on many levels. Sanford, it's their Super Bowl, man. Don't play FCS teams from Birmingham.
Okay.
Bad scheduling. Don't do it. Just don't be pissed when it's not a 29,000-point game.
Vanderbilt, if they're going to win games, they need to go ahead and win this one at UNLV. I actually kind of think they will.
Really?
Yeah, I think Vandy wins.
I may go with Barry Odom on this one.
Oh, okay. Georgia Tech's at Ole Miss. We talked about it. I mean, it is what it is.
There's going to be some.
Ole Miss's test comes in 11 days.
Yeah, just if the first half of Louisville, Georgia Tech shows up, this game could be a little closer than the experts might think. Georgia Tech's got some depth issues and some injury issues coming in this game. And if that's the case, I'm going to check. I think
the line is about right.
Line's about right.
That's
if the injury report, 20 is a lot of points. I think it was maybe 20.5. It's about right. You're right. Go ahead.
One I'm interested in, BYU at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 9-point favorite as of today. Rocket Sanders will not play, according to Sam Pittman. You're starting to wonder whether Rocket Sanders is going to play anytime soon. He's got a knee thing. They're just saying it's got some swelling on it. The rumor is meniscus, but that is, I stress, rumor underlined. I think Arkansas covers the 9.
They're better. Line. They don't need him. They're still better. They can still cover.
Akron's at Kentucky. Sure.
Akron is bad. Like if they can't cover that tells you something. That's a low number for Akron. I mean, for Kentucky versus Akron.
Washington at Michigan State. There's going to be a lot of talk about what's going on at Michigan State.
What do you
Mel
think?
Tucker.
Do you go forward? Do you take Michigan State in the points because they're kumbayaing together and getting this thing together to go straight? They're rallying over the controversy, or you lay the points because they're going to fall apart? What's your opinion? That's why I got it on here.
I think I lay the points. I think they fall apart.
Washington and then
16. I think I give Michael Penix and them a chance to have a field day.
Okay.
Look, if I'm playing for Michigan State, if I like Mel Tucker, I'm a little confused. To be honest, if I'm not excusing Mel Tucker's behavior, because Mel, come on now, Mel, what are we doing?
Okay.
I mean, what are we doing? I mean,
this makes me really uncomfortable.
I know.
And there's not many.
That being said, she didn't hang up the phone. 2 weeks later, she sends him a Happy Father's Day text, which isn't a, hey, you victimized me text. Like if to me, there's like two different kinds of text after something like that happens, which is, I can't believe you did that to me. I'm traumatized. That does not jive with Happy Father's Day. Those two things don't match. So I got questions if I play for Michigan State. Like, why did he get fired? Well, he shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but why did he get fired? I mean, there's problems. If two grown adults are talking after midnight for 36 minutes, Tyler, how many people do you talk to for 36 minutes?
Actually, no one. I mean, My wife hangs up on me
Yeah, I mean,
all the time.
I mean,
hey, but 3-time world champ.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. You've always got that going for you.
I've always got that to hold my hat on.
Just anyway, I look for Washington to roll them.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add on that.
South Alabama's at Oklahoma State. This is an interesting game. I want to see what Kane and them can do. Kind of a chance at redemption a little bit in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's favored by 7.5.
I kind of like my Jaguars here. I'm being biased again, but Oklahoma State, they struggled against a bad Arizona State team. They struggled with Central Arkansas.
Every time I look at Spencer Sanders on the Ole Miss practice field, I'm like, could you guys not work this out?
Yeah, that's bad.
Was there no working it out?
That's bad representation.
He would be playing for them.
Yeah.
And I mean,
he'd be playing for a lot of places. That's bad representation.
James Madison is at Troy. Troy, a 2-point favorite. This is on a game of interest. This would be like a 9.
Yeah, this James Madison. Look, and if you're really a football junkie, y'all need to watch this game. These are two legit football teams that are going to be played. James Madison beat Virginia last week. They were actually favored in the game. They're at Troy. Troy got beat by a good Kansas State team. But it's at Troy. Man, this is going to be Troy's favored by 2, but that's probably about right. This is going to be a close game. I'm biased.
You know what? I'm going to make a comparison here. I'm not trying to minimize anyone's trauma, but I get Instagram messages from models all the time wanting to talk to me. I mean, one said, "Hey, I just moved to your town. And I want to meet an older man." You know what I do every time? I hit delete.
What would you do?
Like hanging up.
What would you do if Kate Upton hit you up?
No, I would hit delete. These girls are like Kate Upton. They're models. They're moving to Oxford to pursue their modeling career, and they reach out to me on Instagram or on Twitter. What do? I hit delete.
I have nothing to add.
She could have hit delete. She could have hit hang up. Not hard.
I have nothing to add. All right.
I mean,
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stop. This episode brought to you by the Biden administration.
All right. We got Pitt at West Virginia. It's only interesting because it's a rivalry.
Well, no, this is my boy needs this one. Neal Brown, a big game for Neal Brown. If Neal Brown loses to Pitt, and it being a rivalry game, that's going to not be good.
I'm laughing at the stream, by the way. The Cooper Chevrolet stream. Yeah, it's restraint. I mean.
Oh, my gosh. You guys are off the chain today. All right. But
no, Neal Brown needs to win this game.
He cannot lose this game. You know what I mean? It's at home.
Or else.
Yeah, it's at home.
Or else now.
I don't know if it's now, but it would be one of the final nails in the coffin.
How attractive is the West Virginia job?
I actually think it's more attractive than people give it credit for.
Okay.
They're doing a good job at NIL.
Okay.
They're not scared to spend money. Dude, I think it's better than what people give it credit for. I mean, there's worse jobs, I can promise you. And being Pitt, it's an old rivalry that they just renewed. So all the old heads that are giving the money, this means something to them. So that's a big game for job security purposes at West Virginia.
Ooh, that might be an Jimbo Fisher to West Virginia.
No, dude, they got so much. Jimbo Fisher, if Jimbo Fisher is not the head coach at Texas A&M with the money that he's going to
be out at the ranch.
Shoot the deuce. I'll be at the golf. Y'all need me. I'll be at the golf course.
Yeah,
I'm not putting myself through that shit again.
All right, let's touch Aaron Rodgers.
We'll touch Aaron Rodgers. We'll do the NFL later.
Last night, I'll tell you this. I was excited about Monday Night Football. I was fired up for it. Made an appointment viewing. I got my work done. I had to get a notebook done. I had to do a content item that I do every Monday, and got it done. And lit the grill, poured a beer, turned on Monday Night Football. Bills, Jets, in New York. Aaron Rodgers' debut.
9/11.
I was fired up.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be great. This is going to be a great game. And it was. Oh, it went to overtime. But Aaron Rodgers comes running out, holding the American flag. And I'm like, this is awesome, man. I mean, the MetLife Stadium was lit up, it was green and everything. And I was like, this is great. This is Bills challenge. And Bills got the ball first, had to punt. And the announcer said, "Here comes 8." And the crowd gets up, and they're so excited. I mean, you could feel the excitement all the way into North Mississippi from New York. They're so excited. Aaron Rodgers. Every other thing is there. They got Breece Hall is back. They got this great defense. They've got weapons. They added these new people. So here we go. Here we go. Can't wait to see this. Fourth play. Tears his Achilles. Out for the season. Kudos to the camera people because they zeroed in on it. And you could see the ripple. And you're like, oh, God, that's what that was. That was the Achilles. And, dude, it depressed me to the point, Tyler, that I didn't make it to halftime. I don't know why. I'm not a Jets fan. I like Rodgers, but I'm not like an Aaron Rodgers stan. I like him. I think he's cool. He's kind of funny. I admired his stance on the whole vaccine thing. But I wasn't invested emotionally in the outcome of the game. Had he played the whole game and Buffalo beat them by 10, I would have been like, okay, whatever, but I would have watched. He went out, and nothing against Zach Wilson, but I just couldn't. And I know the Jets came back and they won in overtime. But, man, that was depressing. Like, that was a storyline. I'm not even a Jets fan. If I were a Jets fan, Tyler, I would feel so cheated today.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine? Like, they've gone through decades.
Just waiting for that guy to under center to be the guy. And they had him. 3-time MVP, all-time great player, first ballot Hall of Famer, the whole shooting match. And he's just gone in 4 plays. And he's not coming back this season. He's going to be 40 years old next season. Who knows? But, man, if I were a Jets fan, I mean, Tyler, I would just be sick. I would feel so cheated. And if I'm in that building today, I know I'm 1-0. I get it.
Oh.
And Zach Wilson did some things, but for the most part, he looked like Zach Wilson. And you realize this isn't going to happen, right? You're in the same division with the with the Dolphins, with the Bills, with the Patriots. You're in the same conference with the Bengals and the Ravens and the Chargers and the Chiefs. And this isn't happening. The Jaguars. This isn't happening. It's not happening now.
Do you know what it is. The playoffs?
I mean, probably not.
I do, though. Dude, and I was with you. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Big Aaron Rodgers fan. I think he's the most talented quarterback to ever play the game. I do. I mean, he doesn't have the chance. I know everybody's going to argue Tom Brady. Good. I get it.
No, you can make the argument for Rodgers, and you can back it up with stats, and you can also back it up with the eye test. And here's the thing with stuff like that. We'll do this debate another day, but the fun part of those debates is that you'll never really know, and everybody just has an opinion, right? And it's okay, cool. But he's in that conversation. Do you know how good you have to be in that conversation?
Pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, to be in the mix of, hey, who's the greatest quarterback of all time? And you list like 7 or 8 people. None of the 7 or 8 suck, right? So he's in that mix. And I don't know. Maybe they make the playoffs. But, look, they're not – nothing against Zach Wilson. I'm sure he's a fine dude. I'm sure his parents love him. But he's not beating Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game.
I will say this. That defense is so legit.
It is.
They're
great.
They can run the football. They just need because everybody's like, oh, they gotta go get somebody. So what's next for them, right? And everybody's like,
where are you going quarterback shopping?
Here,
quarterbacks are us.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Is where we're at now? They're gonna have to get somebody that either is probably not on the team, or there was some interesting takes this morning. And I believe this was on First Take, so I want to make sure I give credit. So if it's not First Take, I apologize. One of the most interesting takes was do a 1-year deal because he's going to retire anyway, and they need draft picks.
Big Reb 601 makes a great point. I want to add this to the mix about Zach Wilson is also he's wonderful. I mean, his mom's friends like him a lot.
Wow,
and I just think that's great.
You're on one today.
It's great.
You're on one.
It's
today.
Great. No, I mean it's always good. It's always good for your parents' friends to like you. It's a good sign.
Oh my goodness, I can't.
All right. Maybe he mowed the yard, changed the oil. I don't know.
Clean the pool.
Maybe. Maybe the pool needed to be flushed. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened.
All right. So going to get for a 1-year deal, because they need draft picks too, it was I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Trade draft picks for Matt Stafford for 1 year if you want to try to win it this year.
Okay.
Because he's probably going to be done anyway.
Yeah.
It gives him a chance to go win a Super Bowl, then you can get A-Rod
Would the
back.
Rams do it?
I would imagine, because they haven't had many draft picks recently. They're in rebuild mode. Right?
But that's them bailing on this season.
Yeah, they need to.
They're 1-0.
Yeah, I'm with you. They did look good. Or it's either they look good or Seahawks look bad. But they can't go. They just need – look, Zach Wilson, people forget, this guy's his third year. He was the second pick in the draft. The guy has immense arm talent. His decision-making is atrocious. They have to calm him down. He did – even when he came in the game yesterday, he was late to throw – taking sacks, taking hits, late to throw the ball away. Like, he can't be – he's not Aaron Rodgers. Stop trying to pretend to be Aaron Rodgers.
Of course.
Be yourself.
Right.
And just don't, because they're so good everywhere else. They got good receivers, good running backs, good defense.
We saw them last year. It didn't work. They didn't win until they put Mike White at quarterback. That's when they've kind of went on a little bit of a roll a little bit. I mean, it was Mike White. Come on. I mean, look, they got to go get somebody. I just don't know who you go get right now. Maybe the Rams would do that. If I'm in the Rams building, I'm like, man, they're going to have to overwhelm us, because when we do that, we're waving the white flag in September and going, hey, Stetson.
Yeah, but don't go get a Matt Ryan and all this shit. That would.
No, and if I hear one more person talk about Tom Brady, I'm going to scream. Tom Brady's not coming back. It's not happening. Stop.
I was 98 years old when I took over for the Jets.
I mean, just who are you getting? There's no. I mean, there's no quarterback store. Look around the league. Look how many teams don't have a good quarterback.
You either got to add a Colt McCoy. This is what you have.
I know. I'm not rolling my eyes at you. I'm rolling my eyes at the idea.
Yeah, there's no options here. You got to go get Colt McCoy. You got to go get Carson Wentz, maybe somebody that still actually has done it recently, that can still move a little bit. Now, I'm not saying to be the starter. I mean, they're going to have to at least be the backup, or you make a trade for somebody like Stafford, or even if you want to get somebody that can come in and start, I mean, you can go make a trade for Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I mean,
he's not winning them a Super Bowl, but he would probably get them to the playoffs with the talent that he has around him.
Yeah, he probably would.
So you got to decide.
But here's the thing, right? When you were in the building, it's one of the Braves story a few years ago when they win the World Series, even after Acuna blows his ACL. When you're in the building the next day, and the day before, you're like, hey, we got a chance to win a Super Bowl. And now you're like, we're just trying to get a wild card. Yeah. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that'd be tough. The only thing, and I'll finish up with this, the only thing I don't want to see, it would really hurt me if that was the last image we have, if he didn't come back. Because, I mean, dude, it's not going to be easy.
Kevin Durant tore one and came back. But
how
Kevin
old was
Durant, he was like 32, 33. It was the end for Kobe Bryant. Kobe was, I mean, nobody worked harder than Kobe Bryant. Yeah. Nobody kept his body in better shape than Kobe Bryant.
I have never been around somebody that tore it, even in a college player. I've never been around somebody that tore it, a football player, that came back and you're like, oh, that's the same guy. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it is explosive. I mean, again, Kobe was, I'd have to go look it up. I think Kobe was 38, 39 when it happened. He was never the same player, obviously. I mean, realistically, he's never going to be great again.
I don't want to say that, man. It breaks my heart. I'm not even going to
answer that. So the Kaepernick thing is this. No, it's two things. If you sign Colin Kaepernick and you add him into your locker room, here are two things. This is not political. You have to believe that this guy is going to be so good, and he hasn't played in 5 years.
Well, that's what I was about to lock at. Guys, you don't just get off the couch and go play quarterback in the NFL.
Here's the thing. If you add Colin Kaepernick to your locker room, you are creating a media firestorm.
For what?
And so if you're going to create a media firestorm, the only way you do it is if that guy's going to come in. Is Colin Kaepernick, forget the politics. Forget it. Is he taking you, does he make you a Super Bowl contender again? And if the answer is yes, well, then you do it. But if the answer is no, then you don't.
All right, serious question, because I don't know of any. How many guys got off the couch out of retirement? Okay. How many guys?
It's been at least 5 years.
Just say 1 year. How many guys after 1 year of retirement come back and you go, man, this is our guy, and lead you to some great season? It's never happened.
I can't think of anybody.
You can't come off the freaking couch and go play quarterback in the National Football League. Hey, note to self, there's 32 of those jobs out there. 32. You have to be one of the best 32 players at your position in an age range that goes from 22 to 42. Are you one of the, I mean, are you the best in the world at playing that position? And you can't come off I don't give a shit what you did before that. You can't come off the couch and go do that and be one of the best 32 guys.
So the only way that you even go down that road is if you believe that he's good enough to come in after he gets a couple of weeks in your building. He's good enough to come in and be the quarterback and be worth all of the media. You will be bombarded by media.
Yeah.
And in a lot of professional locker rooms, that's not, people will be like, what are we doing this for? Right? I mean, I doubt it.
Yeah. Pour one out to all my Garrett Wilson fantasy owners. You can pour one out for you guys because that was a wasted draft pick. He ain't going to catch 2 balls a freaking game. So.
Real quick, I will go down the list real quick. We'll just touch them. It's the league slate in week 2 in the NFL's Minnesota at Philadelphia. The Eagles favored by 7. You got the Raiders heading to Buffalo, the Bills an early 9-point favorite. NFC North matchup, Ravens play the Bengals. Bengals looking for some redemption after last week.
How you feel about that one?
Ooh, I don't know. Kind of like the Ravens. Bengals favored by 3.5. Chiefs.
Game of the week.
Chiefs a 3-point favorite at Jacksonville. Rematch of a AFC divisional playoff game. The Chargers -3 at Tennessee playing the Titans.
Sounds fishy.
Packers -1.5 at Atlanta.
You already know where I'm going on Make It Rain Thursday, GJG.
Seattle is at Detroit. The Lions, their home opener. They'll be a 6-point favorite at home against the Seahawks. Indianapolis goes to Houston. That's a dog game. Colts favored by a point.
Only the mamas will be watching that game.
Here's one that I like a lot. The Bears at the Bucks. The Bucks giving 3 to the Bears, who looked hapless in their opener. The Giants looking for some redemption. They go out to Arizona. They play the Cardinals. They're favored by 4 on the road after losing by 40 to the Cardinals. What does Vegas to the Cowboys? What does Vegas think of the Cardinals? Now you know.
Now you know.
The Niners head to Los Angeles. Maybe Matthew Stafford, maybe not. We'll see. 49ers favored by 8 in L.A. The Jets, without Aaron Rodgers, head to Dallas. See, this is where we got cheated. This is where we get cheated. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets at Dallas. This is game of the week stuff.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Instead, it's an 8.5-point line. Dallas favored by 8.5 against the Jets. Washington heads to Denver. Sean Payton still looking for win number 1 as the Broncos head coach. Denver favored by 3.5 at home. Miami is at New England. The Dolphins only favored by 2.5 on the road at Foxborough. The Saints hit the road as well. They go to Carolina to face the Panthers in an NFC South contest. The Saints, a 3-point favorite on the road in Charlotte. And then Cleveland is at Pittsburgh, another AFC North
Those
clash.
are both Monday night games. We got a doubleheader Monday night game.
Oh, cool.
Week.
Cleveland, a 2-point favorite on the road in Pittsburgh, which is interesting.
Yeah. That's it. Those are interesting games. I feel good about my NFL picks this week. I can't
do worse.
I got one more. I'm debating on a couple. I'm waiting on some injury reports before I go on my college picks, but I'm kind of got it narrowed down what we're going to be doing on Make It Rain.
Okay. All right. Speaking of, we'll be back on Thursday with another edition of McCready and Siskey. It'll be a Make It Rain Thursday edition of the big show. We'll make our picks. And I can't do worse than 0-5 in the NFL. I mean, I literally, it's impossible for me to do worse. So that's good news. We've been brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, 0 sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
And on Cooper Chevrolet, the Cooper Chevrolet chat, make sure you remember during September, get 3.9% financing for 72 months on the new Chevy Silverado Crew Cab, plus no payments for 90 days.
90 days.
Check them out at Cooper Chevrolet in Anniston. Learn more at cooperchevrolet.com.
For Tyler Siskey, I'm Neal McCready. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you on Thursday. See ya.